After 4 days of stories and speculation about just how far the New England Patriots would go to win, the team is responding. Late this afternoon at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, in front of a massive media crowd from across the nation, quarterback Tom Brady responded to accusations that someone on the team deliberately deflated footballs to gain an advantage in Sunday's AFC Championship game.
I didn't, have any, I didn't alter the ball in any way. I have a process that I go through before every game where I go in and I pick the balls that I want to, the footballs that I want to use for the game. That happened obviously on Sunday night. It was the same process that I always go through. I didn't think anything of it. Obviously I woke up Monday morning and answered a question on the radio about it. And that was the first I really heard it.
A few hours earlier, coach Bill Belichick gave an uncharacteristically direct and detailed response to the controversy, denying any knowledge or involvement.
All right, I'll start out by addressing the football issue here.
Bill Belichick is usually a man of few words, but today the Patriots head coach launched into a nearly 10-minute-long response to the biggest question of the week. Did he have game balls illegally deflated?
In my entire coaching career, I have never talked to any player, staff member about football air pressure. I had no knowledge whatsoever of this situation until Monday morning. I would say I've learned a lot more about this process in the last 3 days than I knew or had talked about it in the last 40 years.
There was, however, one person Belichick did say may know a little more about how the process works.
Tom's personal preferences on his footballs are something that he can talk about in much better detail.
Going forward, Belichick said they'd leave no room for error, making sure all footballs are inflated well above the lowest point allowed. But when it came time to answer questions from the gathered media, the old Belichick suddenly returned.
I've told you everything I know. I've told him everything I know. I have no explanation for what happened. I don't have an explanation for what happened. I've told you all that I can tell you from my point of view. I don't have an explanation for what happened. Thank you.
So although the final results of the NFL investigation are not yet out, Belichick says the team is turning its full attention to the Super Bowl. And 10 days from now, they'll face off against the Seattle Seahawks in a championship game that now has quite a cloud hanging over it. Joining me now to talk about how all this has unfolded is sports analyst Chris Collins. Chris, what did you think of what Belichick and Brady had to say today?
Well, obviously the Patriots have spent the last few days figuring out their game plan. And the game plan was to take the less likable Belichick, put him out there for a quick 15 minutes, put Brady, more likable, put him out there for a full 30 minutes. Belichick in the morning handed it off to Brady. Brady was left basically hanging in the wind, trying to defend himself. But at the end of the day, what did we gain from this? Belichick knows nothing about it. Brady knows nothing about it. And think about how laughable this is. The football is so important to what Tom Brady does, obviously, in his career. In the world, I mean, this is just
right. This is his tool, right?
This is everything.
Yep.
This means everything. And he talked about the process of him selecting his individual balls, the 12 balls he's going to use for the game, the AFC Championship game, the biggest game of the season. But somehow, when he got to the field, the balls were significantly different than the balls he picked.
All right, hold
15% less air. And he knows nothing about it? Do you think the rogue ball boy?
Hold that skepticism for a moment, because several other Patriots also spoke out before today's practice. They appear to be following their coach's lead.
I'm not even paying attention to it, honestly. Again, I'm really focused on what my job is and what I'm trying to do.
We're not going to let it be a distraction. We're going to continue to do what we do to prepare for this game.
We can't allow ourselves to get caught up in what may be positive or negative things. We just have to focus on us and doing our jobs.
A lot of the same from the team. So how big of a deal is this? For a closer look at that, we're joined by Ben Shields, a lecturer for MIT's Sloan School of Management and the author of The Sports Strategist, and Dan Leibowitz, executive director of the Center for the Study of Sport in Society at Northeastern University. Guys, thanks for being here. Do you buy Chris's theory that this was basically a savvy PR move and it wasn't Belichick throwing Brady under the bus?
I think that Chris makes a good point about the likability factor of Brady. Brady is really the face of the franchise. He's the celebrity of the franchise. He's had a storied career for that franchise. And he really is, as fans know it, the Patriots brand. The strategist, the person behind it, Belichick, really is somebody, you know, they're the greatest duo probably in the history of pro football. And, you know, they're under attack for a number of reasons, not just the fact that footballs might have been underinflated.
Ben, let me get you in here. There's a huge range of opinion on this story from, you know, it's a non-story driven by envy and resentment of the Patriots to it's a legit scandal that tarnishes, you know, this season and everything the Patriots have done. Where do you come down on that spectrum?
It's still TBD. In Crisis Management 101, Adam, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick used two strategies today. First, they denied. And second, they reduced the offensiveness of the event. You heard Belichick talking about, oh, you know, I don't even think about footballs. And you hear Tom Brady saying, well, gosh, I wish I wasn't distracted. I need to prepare for Seattle.
And that this isn't ISIS.
And it isn't ISIS. High risk, high reward strategy, okay? If NFL's investigation comes back and says, you know what, the Patriots had nothing to do with this, these guys, they're all clean, then this strategy works. But if the NFL comes back and says, they may have lied, then this may tarnish the Patriots forever.
All right, so where does everyone think this is heading? It sounds like do you think it's a 50-50 chance at this point?
One of the dangers of any sort of sports crisis is speculation. And I think we need to wait to hear what the NFL investigation
comes back with. Maybe these guys will speculate for me. Can you speculate?
Well, I found it odd that the NFL has yet to reach out or at least contact Tom Brady. They haven't spoke to him on this investigation as, you know, as of 3:30 this afternoon before the press conference, which is incredibly odd because this is so important for the Patriots to get rid of this. Do not bring this to Phoenix. They really have to get going and move on to Seattle, as the coach likes to say. But the problem I see is, how do you connect it? I mean, it is a conspiracy because there's more than one person involved. Tom Brady is not going to be sitting there, you know, taking the air out of the balls himself. He's going to, you know,
be aided
commandeer somebody to do that. And you know what? Bill Belichick, he's going to know exactly what they talk about throughout the week when they're practicing with those footballs. He knows exactly how Tom Brady likes the footballs. Belichick and Brady are the most detailed-oriented tandem in the history of the game, maybe the history of professional sports. But all of a sudden, he knows nothing about how to throw a football.
Dan Leibowitz, how common is it for professional teams or big-time D1 teams to either stretch the rules or break the rules in the pursuit of a competitive advantage?
I think you got to look beyond sport. I think that you got to look at the human condition. You know, the human condition is about that great continuum from greatness to fallibility and everything in between. I think you could look at business and see a number of businesses that stretch the rules for monetary gain. I think you can look at politicians and see they've stretched the rules for political gain. So people push the envelope of performance in the venue that they're in. Right? That's why the PED scandals that have happened throughout sports, you know, the stain of that. And given those PED scandals, we live in an era of suspicion. And so once you raise the cloud of suspicion, that suspicion stays there. It's not going to go away. Is this going to go away by the time the Super Bowl's over? No. Is it going to go away in the history of the Patriots? No. But depending on your viewpoint, whether or not you think it's envy versus reality, your viewpoint will fall somewhere, and opinion will fall somewhere in between.
One last question briefly. We got to go around the table. Do you prefer Deflate-gate or Ballghazi? Chris?
I like Deflate-gate.
Deflate-gate, Ben?
Deflate-gate, long live the hashtag.
Dan?
Deflate-gate.
All right, Deflate-gate it is. Guys, thanks for being here.
And ultimately, it stains the legacy.
Stains the legacy.
You coming off Spygate in 2007, I think this was finally the coronation of them finally winning without the scandal.
And they blew it.
And they blew it.
All right, Chris, Ben, Dan, thank you all.